Hello students, welcome to KENE'S Educare. Today in the session of class 7th history, we will read and learn about part 2 of chapter number 4, the Mughal Empire. But before we start with part 2, let's just revise what we read in part 1. Part 1 में क्या पढ़ा था? We read the introduction to the Mughals, then we read who were Mughals, then we read about the military campaigns. Let me show you for your quick revision. See here in the map, we saw the extent of the Mughal Empire. Then we read who were Mughals and we read about the mother side and father side. Then we read that why they connected themselves not with Genghis Khan descent but with the Timurid descent. Then we read the Mughal military campaigns led by various emperors of Mughal Empire, the early Mughals. We read about Babur, we read about Humayun, we read about Akbar. After Akbar we read about Jahangir and then about his son Shah Jahan, reaching up to the last king of early Mughals, Aurangzeb, and then we continue to the topic of Mansabdar and Jagirdar. Mansabdar and Jagirdar, this was the slide, I'm sorry. And then about the revenue policy and about Zabt and Zamindar. And in the end, we read about the biography of Akbar written by Abu Fazl, Akbarnama, and a volume of it, N.A. Akbari. So this was these were the topics we covered in part 1, and now we'll study part 2. And now children, in this part we will read and learn about the following topics. First will be the closer look towards Akbar's policy. Then we will read Noor Jahan's influence in Jahangir court. Noor Jahan, the wife of Jahangir. Okay, we will read her influence in the court of Jahangir. Then we will read what is Sulh-e-Kul. Okay, there's a concept propounded by Akbar. Sulh-e-Kul, we will read about that. Then we will cover the topic the Mughal Empire in the 17th century and then afterwards. Okay, what happened to the Mughal Empire afterwards? That means after 17th century. Then we will read a story of elsewhere as we do in every chapter. We will read some associated keywords and then we will recall the chapter with the help of some exercises. So let's get started with this part of the chapter. Alright, now let's read the topic closer look at the Akbar's policy. Okay. The broad features of administration, the Akbar's administration, were laid down by Akbar himself and were elaborately discussed by Abul Fazl in his book, the Akbarnama. We read it in the last part also that Abul Fazl wrote an entire detailed book about the Akbar's administration known as Akbarnama, and especially the last volume, the N.A. Akbari, which gives detailed account about Akbar's administration in his reign. Abul Fazl explained that the empire was divided into provinces. पूरे empire को province में divide कर रखा है. जैसे for example today India is divided into states. States have districts. Districts have cities. Cities have smaller areas ruled by the state government. Similarly, the area under the Mughal Empire were divided into provinces. छोटे-छोटे provinces में पूरे area को divide कर रखा था और इन प्रोविंसेस को हम लोग कहते थे सूबाज. क्या कहते थे? सूबाज. The सूबा were governed by a सूबेदार who carried out both political as well as military function. ये जो सूबेदार है इसको military functions भी करने होते थे और political functions भी करने होते थे. क्या वो दोनों कर सकता है आसानी से? It's a very difficult job, right? There were people who helped him. Each province, that means each सूबा, also had a financial officer जिसे हम दीवान कहते थे. There was a दीवान in every province. हर province में एक दीवान होता था who used to take care of all the financial matters. Tax देना है, fees pay करनी है, किसी को compensation देना है, any financial matter was looked after by दीवान. For the maintenance of peace and order in his province, the सूबेदार was supported by other officers. मैंने अभी बताया सूबेदार अकेले सब कुछ तो नहीं कर सकता ना, performing all the military as well as political functions. There were people who supported the सूबेदार, okay, such as military paymaster. एक military paymaster होता था जिसे हम कहते थे बख्शी. Bakshi was there to help with the pay of the soldiers, and he helped the सूबेदार in this pay category. The minister in charge of religious and charitable patronage known as sadr. एक charitable patronage के लिए भी काम करने वाला एक इंसान होता था जिसे हम कहते थे सद्र. Then there were military commanders also जिसे हम कहते थे फौजदार. And then there was town police also, town police commander known as कोतवाल. All these different officers helped the Subedar to maintain peace and order in each Suba or in each province. Okay? Akbar's nobles commanded large armies and had access to large amount of revenue. बहुत revenue पे command होता था nobles के. Nobles इसीलिए तो इतने rich होते थे because they had command over a lot of revenue coming to the empire. While they were loyal, the empire functioned efficiently. जब तक वो लोग loyal थे, empire efficiently काम करता रहा. But by the end of the 17th century, many nobles had built independent network of their own. बहुत सारे ऐसे nobles थे who started working in their self-interest and hence the efficiency of the empire suffered. जब तक ऑफिसर्स अच्छा काम करते हैं, कंट्री अच्छी चलती रहती है because the king cannot control and manage everything, right? You need the support of your staff member, you need the support of your ministers, the people who are working under you, the people who are working in the service of the empire. अगर वो लोग corrupt हैं, then your empire will fall down. And this is what happened. At the end of the 17th century, बहुत सारे ऐसे nobles थे who started building up their independent network because now they did not want to serve under the Mughal army or the Mughal empire. Now they wanted to establish themselves independent, or maybe they wanted to earn a lot of money through corruptive practices. Their loyalties to the empire were weakened by their self-interest, and this led to the weakening of the Mughal empire. Okay? Reading more about Akbar and what he did under various policies in his empire. While Akbar was at Fatehpur Sikri during the 1570s, he started discussions on religion with the ulema, Brahmins, Jesuit priests who were Roman Catholics and Zoroastrians. With this, you can see the diversity of topics he's indulging his administration into. केवल revenue के बारे में नहीं सोच रहा है एक बार that let's collect and earn a lot of revenue and then spend on making palaces, putting up on wars and expanding the empire. No. He's focusing on the peace and stability of the society as well. He's working on the religion. He's working on the cultural ideas. He's working on the social beliefs and customs. And for this, he held discussions with all the scholars of different religion, ulemas who believe in Islamic practices, Brahmins into Hinduism, Jesuit priests into Christianity, that means people who were Roman Catholics, and the Zoroastrians. All these people were called by Akbar for discussions on religious beliefs and rituals so that he can know and understand about various religion and hence he can establish peace in the society. These discussions took place in Ibadat Khana. एक hall होता था in the palace of Akbar. उसी hall में उसको इबादत खाना बोला जाता था because that was the place where you put up the ibadat, where you worship the god or basically you talk everything about religion. कुछ भी God से related होना है तो इबादत खाना में होगा, and that was the rule of Mughal Empire. So every discussion on these religious practices, rituals and customs held in Ibadat Khana. He was interested in the religion and social customs of different people. वो जानना चाहता था कितने तरीके के religion हैं, लोग क्या क्या मानते हैं, what are the practices, किसने सिखाया है, what is the reasoning behind it, everything he wanted to know so that he can understand his public. जो किंग अपने लोगों को ही नहीं जान सका, समझ सका, how he can become a very powerful king, how he can become a very understanding king. वो protect कैसे करेगा उन लोगों को जिनको वो जानता भी नहीं. That is why Akbar wanted to understand everything. Okay? Akbar's interaction with people of different faith made him realize that religious scholars who emphasized the ritual and dogma were often bigots. उसने ये देखा कि जितने religious scholars हैं ना ये कुछ ज़्यादा ही dogma create करते हैं and these people are nothing but bigots. What is this dogma and bigots? I will tell you later, just in the next slide. Okay? The teachings of various scholars created divisions and disharmony among his subjects. Akbar came to a conclusion कि जो religious scholars लोगों को बातें सिखाते हैं, all these are creating divisions in the society. All this is creating disharmony and disunity in the society among the minds of the public. कोई अगर इस्लामिक प्रैक्टिस करता है तो उसे दूसरा अच्छा नहीं लगता, कोई अगर ब्राह्मण है उसे दूसरा अच्छा नहीं लगता, if the other person is Roman Catholic उसे कोई दूसरा religion अच्छा नहीं लगता. all these people are becoming bigots. Okay, and this is very wrong. And this idea eventually led Akbar to the idea of Sulh-e-Kul or universal peace. यहीं से universal peace का concept आया अकबर को कि why not we have the Sulh-e-Kul, why not we have the universal peace where whatever religion we follow हमें honesty, justice and peace के ethics को हमेशा संभाल के रखना चाहिए. We should be respectful about the other person's religion and customs. We should be honest about our practices. We should be just, or you can say the king should be in the position to provide justice to the people. This idea of tolerance did not discriminate between people of different religion in his realm. यूनिवर्सल पीस में उसने ये बोला कि किसी को किसी के रिलीजन के बेसिस पे डिस्क्रिमिनेट नहीं किया जाएगा. No one will be asked to pay the taxes only because he belongs to another religion. Nobody will be asked to do a separate or distinctive job only because he belongs to a separate religion. And the concept of Sulh-e-Kul or universal peace, he focused on not discriminating anyone on the basis of their religion. Instead, it focused on a system of ethics, honesty, justice, peace that was universally acceptable or applicable. Okay? Abul Fazl, the author, friend, writer, chronicler of that time who wrote the Akbarnama, especially the N.A. Akbari volume regarding the administration of the Mughal Empire under Akbar, Abul Fazl helped Akbar in framing a vision of governance around this idea of Sulh-e-Kul. उसने बोला कि मैं आपकी हेल्प करूंगा कि Sulh-e-Kul को establish कैसे किया जाए. I will help you. This principle of governance was followed by Jahangir, his son, Akbar's son, and Shah Jahan, who was Jahangir's son as well. इन लोगों ने भी Sulh-e-Kul के practice को आगे बढ़ाया so that universal peace can be attained in the empire and there can be peace and stability and harmony and unity in the minds of the people of the empire. Okay, now let's understand what is dogma and what is bigot. Acha, right now we just read that Akbar thought that these learned men, these scholars of various religion, are creating dogma in the mind of the people and they are bigot. Now what is this meaning of dogma and bigot? I didn't tell you over there because I had this slide prepared. Huh? Okay. Dogma का मतलब होता है कोई एक ऐसा statement बोल देना or maybe any interpretation that is declared as an authoritative declaration with the expectation that it would be followed without question. I'll repeat it again. A statement or an interpretation declared as authoritative with the expectation that it would be followed without question. कि अगर किसी religious scholar या learned man ने कह दिया that you have to follow this or you have to do this if you belong to this religion, then you do it without a question. No, you should not do it without question. You should question that what is the reason behind it? Why are we doing it? And if the religious scholar or the learned man does not answer you, does not accept your questioning power, then he is dogmatic. Okay? He or the person is creating a dogma. He wants that you follow everything without a question and that is wrong. Alright? Second word was bigot. Who is a bigot? An individual who is intolerant of another person's religious beliefs और कल्चर, जिसको सिर्फ अपना रिलीजन अपना कल्चर बेस्ट लगता है और किसी की रिस्पेक्ट नहीं कर सकता और एक्सेप्ट भी नहीं कर सकता दैट व्हाई आर यू स्टैंडिंग हियर. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ पर्सन ए बिलोंग्स टू कल्चर नंबर ए एंड ही कैन नॉट एक्सेप्ट एनी अदर कल्चर, देन दैट पर्सन इज अ बिगॉट एंड यू शुड नॉट बिकम अ बिगॉट. ओके, you should be very tolerant toward other person's religious beliefs and culture. You should respect other person's religious beliefs and culture. आप follow मत करो, आप अपना follow करो, but please be respectful toward other person's religious beliefs and culture. Okay? You should not and never be in the influence of any dogmatic practice or any bigot. Okay? See children, here is the image where Akbar is holding discussions with the learned of individuals of different faiths in the Ibadat Khana. ये दिखाया जा रहा है that here is a room, here is the king, emperor Akbar, and here are people belonging, all the scholars and all the learned men belonging to different faiths, and Akbar having a discussion with all of them. And this place where this discussion is happening, this place is known as Ibadat Khana. एक particular room, एक particular hall बनाया गया था इस चीज के लिए, where people can come worship the god or may have discussions on religion and various gods belonging to various culture and religion. Okay. Alright, right now we've just read about the Sulhekul, the universal peace idea inducted by Akbar जब उसने religious scholars का एक discussion रखा इबादत खाना में, right? With that discussion, he got to know that maybe I should inculcate the idea of Sulhekul, the idea of universal peace, where people will be focusing on ethics, honesty, peace, right? And not on all those rituals being dogmatic and promoting the bigotry. Jahangir, Akbar's son, described his father's policy of Sulhekul in the following words, because हम लोगों ने पढ़ा था that this concept of universal peace was promoted by Jahangir and Shah Jahan as well. Shah Jahan और Jahangir दोनों ने इस चीज को promote भी किया था आगे जाके, right? So we need to know that what his son says about the father's policy of Sulhekul. Jahangir says that, as in the wide expanse of the divine compassion, there is room for all classes and the followers of all creeds. So, in his imperial dominions, which on all sides were limited only by the sea, there was room for the professors of opposite religions and for beliefs, good and bad, and the road to intolerance was closed. कोई भी intolerant नहीं होगा दूसरे के religion और class और creed को लेकर. If someone is a bigot, if someone is intolerant towards another religion, then he may leave the empire. Sunnis and Shias, the sects of Islam, people who follow Islam, Sunnis and Shias met in one mosque and Christians and Jews in one church to pray. Sunni Shia सब एक ही mosque तो जाते हैं ना, Christian Jews सब एक ही church तो जाते हैं ना. He consistently followed the policy of universal peace, that means Sulhekul. This is what Jahangir used to or had to say about Akbar's policy of Sulhekul. That even after being a king, even after being under the imperial dominions, where the entire region is limited by sea, पूरा India तीनों तरफ से sea से तो घिरा हुआ है ना. Here is Arabian Sea, here is Bay of Bengal, here is Indian Ocean. Where the entire empire is limited by sea, there was room for all the professors of all the religion. All the space is given to all beliefs, good or bad, but there was no room for intolerance. Okay? So this is what Jahangir also used to believe in. He also believed in unity, in diversity, and he also gave liberty and freedom to all the people who followed separate religion other than Islam. Okay? Coming on to the next slide. Apart from working on the administration, the political and military campaigns, working on the religion as well, Akbar also commissioned the translation of many Sanskrit work into Persian. Literary terms में भी काम किया है अकबर ने. He also worked in the field of literature. ऐसा नहीं है कि पढ़ाई लिखाई का कोई काम ही नहीं हो रहा है. No, he ordered Abul Fazl to write on the administration of Mughal Empire, on the basis of which a very famous book, Akbarnama, the Akbari, was written. We just read it right now, right? Akbar commissioned the translation of many Sanskrit work into Persian because he wanted to know what the Indian scholars have already written. He wanted to understand and learn everything. Okay? He was very curious. He was a very curious learner of all time. A Maktab Khana का मतलब होता है translation bureau. He organized a translation bureau for this. It was also established at Fatehpur Sikri for this purpose. For this translation purpose, उसने एक particular bureau बना दिया फतेहपुर सीकरी में. Can you see the curiosity he has? The Mahabharat, Ramayana, Leelavati, Yoga Vasishta were some of the notable Sanskrit works that were taken up for translation. The Raznama, Persian translation of Mahabharat, contains lavish illustrations of the events of Mahabharat. Mahabharat को translate किया गया Persian में और उसका नाम था राजनामा. राजनामा को जब ट्रांसलेट किया गया पर्शियन में महाभारत को जब ट्रांसलेट किया गया पर्शियन में, तो द टाइटल गिवन वाज राजनामा एंड इट कंटेन्ड वेरियस lavish illustrations of the events and various scenery of Mahabharata. Okay, so this was the work in the field of literature done by Akbar or ordered by Akbar. Okay, children, now let's read something about Jahangir's wife, Noor Jahan. because in the history and the pages of history बहुत जगह ऐसा लिखा गया that Noor Jahan had a great influence in Jahangir's court. Few historians have also said that she had a great power and dominance over Jahangir's decision making. Is that so? Let's read. Noor Jahan's influence in Jahangir's court. Mehrun Nisa, her name was Mehrun Nisa, married the Emperor Jahangir in 1611. Akbar died by this time, okay? She married Emperor Jahangir in 1611 and received the title Noor Jahan. उन्हें title दिया गया Noor Jahan का. She remained extremely loyal and supportive to the monarch. कोई cheating नहीं, ऐसा नहीं कहीं और किसी और empire के लिए कुछ ना कुछ secret reveal कर रही हो. No, not at all. She was very loyal and supportive to the monarch. She was very intelligent as well. She had all those administrative tactics and all those mind games as nobles have, okay? As a mark of honor, Jahangir struck silver coins bearing his own titles on one side and on the other the inscription struck in the name of Queen Begum Noor Jahan. वो इतनी लॉयल, इतनी सपोर्टिव, जहांगीर की हर चीज में इतनी हेल्प करती थी. इन एवरी डिसीजन जहांगीर यूज्ड टू मेक, नूर जहां यूज्ड टू हेल्प एंड सॉल्व ऑल द कंफ्यूजन्स एंड डॉगमा, एनी कंफ्यूजन एंड द डिलेमास. दैट इज व्हाई इन हर ऑनर जहांगीर ने सिल्वर कॉइन्स बनवाए. On one side there were titles of Jahangir and on the other side there was this inscription struck in the name of Queen Begum Noor Jahan. ऐसा लिखा होता था. Okay, so it was in the honor of Noor Jahan that one side of the coin was given to her. The adjoining document is an order or farman of Noor Jahan. ये जो document यहाँ दिखाया जा रहा है ना, this document, this is the farman issued by Noor Jahan. यहाँ पे क्या दिखाया जा रहा है? The square seal states command of her most sublime and elevated majesty Noor Jahan Pacha Begum. ये यहाँ पे ऐसे लिखा हुआ है, ठीक है? ये यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है command of her most sublime and elevated majesty Noor Jahan Pacha Begum, ऐसे पर्शियन में लिखा हुआ है करके. The round seal states, ये जो round seal है यहाँ पे, this round seal states by the sun means सूरज, okay? By the son of Shah Jahangir, she became as brilliant as the moon. May Noor Jahan Pacha be the lady of the age. ऐसा लिखा हुआ है यहाँ पे इस सील पे. And here is the order, the फरमान she wanted to issue. और बहुत सारी ऐसी डिटेल आगे भी लिखी होगी. We have provided only this half image of that फरमान. Okay, so you can say Noor Jahan had an influence in Jahangir's court because she had the mind as well as complete support towards the monarch. Maybe that is why she was held and she was allowed to participate in the administrative decision making of the Mughal Empire under Jahangir's reign. Okay. Alright children, so now we will read about the Mughal Empire in the 17th century and after. अभी तक क्या हो रहा था? We were reading about major emperors. Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, then Shah Jahan. But अब हम ये पढ़ेंगे that entire 17th century, what was the era? How the era changed from Akbar to Shah Jahan. And then what happened afterwards? उसके बाद क्या हुआ? There were more emperors as well, Aurangzeb, and then later Mughals came in. तब क्या हुआ? How the administration, how the entire scenario of the reign of Mughal Empire changed. We'll read about this in this slide. The administrative and military efficiency of the Mughal Empire led to the great economic and commercial prosperity. इतना prosperous क्यों था Mughal Empire? Because they had very good administration and very efficient military forces. ठीक है? That is why they were so economically strong and commercially prosperous. International travelers described it as the fabled land of wealth. एकदम fabled land, fabled मतलब famous land of wealth माना जाता था इंडिया को, this Mughal Empire वाले region को. Okay? But these same visitors were also appalled at the state of poverty that existed side by side with the greatest opulence. Because on one hand India and the Mughal territory was famous for the wealth, but people were appalled का मतलब होता है horrified. People were horrified कि ये इतनी wealthy state में इतनी poverty. People saw the state of poverty also which existed side by side with greatest opulence. Opulence का मतलब luxury, wealth and all that. Okay? तो उन्होंने ये देखा that this famous land of wealth has people under poverty as well, and the inequalities were glaring. एकदम बिल्कुल गुस्से में, एकदम anger भरी हुई inequalities थी. There was a huge gap between the rich and the poor during the Mughal Empire, And not only in the under the Mughal Empire, बहुत सारे empires and dynasties में ऐसा था that there was a great amount of inequality between the rich and the poor. The documents from the 20th year of Shah Jahan's reign, 20th year बोला जा रहा है शाहजहां के reign को, reign में, शाहजहां के reign में जो 20th year था, it informs us that the highest ranking mansabdar were only 445 in number out of total 8,000. तो अगर टोटल 8,000 मनसबदार हैं तो केवल 445 ऐसे हैं जिनके पास हाईएस्ट रैंकिंग है. सो बेसिकली द नंबर ऑफ पीपल holding on to the highest level of mansabdar or highest level of land occupation reduced up till the time of Shah Jahan. अकबर के टाइम तक if there were 10,000 mansabdars उसमें से 5,000 तो highest ranking holder थे, but now it reduced to 445 only. Okay, this small number, a mere 5 to 6% of the total number of mansabdars, received 61.5% of the total estimated revenue of the empire as salaries for themselves and their troopers. ये 5-6%, ये 445 मनसबदार, केवल ये 445 मनसबदार को 61.5% रेवेन्यू मिलता था as their salary for themselves and their troops. आप यहीं से inequality देख सकते हो. You can literally study the inequality from this scenario only, that only the 5 to 6% of the population under the Mughal Empire received the 61.5% of the total revenue as their salary. तो इतना छोटा परसेंटेज अगर इतना बड़ा रेवेन्यू खाता होगा, just imagine the remaining 94%. Remaining 94% को तो केवल 30% रेवेन्यू मिल पा रहा है ना enjoy करने के लिए. Enjoy as in to buy their food, to buy their livelihood. 94% को केवल 30% रेवेन्यू मिल रहा है और 5 to 6% को 61.5% मिल रहा है. This is a major inequality drawback in the during the Mughal Empire. ये हमें डॉक्यूमेंट से पता चलता है belonging to the Shah Jahan's reign. Okay? Reading further, the Mughal emperors and their mansabdars spent a great deal of their income on salaries and goods. मुगल एम्परर्स और मनसबदार दोनों ही अपनी इनकम का बहुत बड़ा रेशियो सैलरीज पे खर्च करते थे और गुड्स पे खर्च करते थे. क्यों? बिकॉज एज द टाइम वॉज इंक्रीजिंग, as the emperors were changing and they were becoming stronger, जो enemies हैं वो भी तो strong हो रहे होंगे ना. Enemies must have also be accumulating a lot of wealth, a good ammunition. They must be coming closer to the borders. They must be indulging a lot of standing armies so that they can fight the Mughal Empire. And that is why Mughal emperors wanted their mansabdars to be of greatest strength and bravery. उन्हें ये लगता था कि कहीं मनसबदार रिबेल ना कर दें. That is why they, as in the emperors, paid a very good salary to the mansabdar. Emperors paid a very good salary to the mansabdars so that the mansabdars are always ready with good military support for the empire in the favor of the Mughal Empire. This expenditure benefited the artisans and peasantry. Artisans और peasantry को तो अच्छा लगता था क्योंकि Mughal emperors और mansabdars both used to buy a lot of goods. Artisans and peasantry were in benefit because of this, because they were the ones who supplied them with the goods and produce. Right? Artisans and peasantry used to supply the goods and produce to the emperor and mansabdars. That is why artisans and peasantry were benefited by the expenditure done by the emperor and mansabdar. But the scale of revenue collection left very little for investment in the hands of primary producers, the peasants and the artisan. Peasants and artisan के produce और goods तो बिक रहे थे, but the income they had, इस income में से tax भी तो देना. So the remaining income was so less. The remaining income was so less that they could not invest it anywhere. इतना कम पैसा बचता था कि बस उसमें से वो लोग खाना ही खरीद पाते थे. Food, clothing, यही सब में खर्चा चला जाता था. So the artisans and the peasants were happy because their goods and produce were selling. But at the end of the day, they had so much little amount in their hand that they could not invest in any work or in any category. They had such a little amount of income in their hand at the end of the day that they used to spend it on their livelihood. The poorest among them lived from hand to mouth and they could hardly consider investing in additional resources. किस में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे? एडिशनल रिसोर्सेज में. कैसी रिसोर्सेज? अच्छे टूल्स ले आए, अच्छी सप्लाईज ले आए ताकि उनका कल्टीवेशन अच्छा हो सके, प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ सके, गुड क्वालिटी सीड्स ले आए, गुड मशीनरी ले आए. नो, they could not had money. They were not left with that amount of money that they could buy any tool for themselves. Okay, so maybe they were happy that their goods were selling and their produce was selling, but on real terms they had very little amount of money in their hand for any investment to be made. They were left only that much amount with which they can afford their livelihood. They did not had extra money with which they can invest in the additional resources. The wealthier peasantry and the artisanal groups, the merchants and bankers profited in this economic world. लेकिन ऐसे economic world में जो already wealthy हैं उनको तो बहुत मजा आ रहा था, because they were wealthier and now whatever they were gaining it was adding to their revenue only. उन्हें livelihood की tension नहीं है. Now whatever they were earning they were using it in their investments. The enormous wealth and resources commanded by the Mughal elite made them an extremely powerful group of people in the late 17th century. The Mughal elite asked for goods, they asked for produce, and because of which the wealthier peasantry, जो already अमीर थे, the wealthier peasantry, the greater groups of artisans, all the merchants and all the bankers, they became very powerful people in this era of Mughal Empire. Okay, as the authority of the Mughal Empire slowly declined, his servants emerged as powerful center of power in the region. आपको पता है मुगल एम्पायर में क्या होता था? The emperor used to assign people as governor of separate provinces, right? हर province का अपना एक सूबेदार बनाया जाता था, right? And all these सूबेदार, servants under the Mughal Empire, they emerged as powerful center in the empire. जैसे जैसे मुगल एम्परर की पावर कम होती गई वैसे वैसे सूबेदार की पावर बढ़ती गई. They constituted new dynasties. इतने पावरफुल हो गए that now they constituted new dynasties and then held command of provinces. For example, Hyderabad and Awadh. ये हैदराबाद और अवध पता है किसने बनाया है? The people who worked under Mughal Empire. They made themselves independent of the Mughal Empire and then established their own kingdom in Hyderabad and they established their own kingdom in Awadh. So there was a person who established Awadh as a province and there was a person who established Hyderabad as a separate independent province. Although in the initial phase they continued to recognize the Mughal emperor in Delhi as their master. जब शुरू में ये लोग इंडिपेंडेंट हुए ना, हैदराबाद और अवध के गवर्नर, जब शुरू में ये लोग इंडिपेंडेंट हुए, then they considered the Mughal emperor as their master. But by the 18th century, the provinces of the empire had consolidated their independent political identity. पहले ये लोग politically independent नहीं हुए थे, okay? पहले they were independent only on the territorial basis कि हैदराबाद अब हमारा province है, हम लोग इसका ध्यान रखेंगे. We will consider the Mughal emperor as our master. But as the 18th century came in and the Mughal emperor became very weak, these you can say these founder of Hyderabad and Awadh province considered themselves as independent political identities also. Okay, so this is how the entire Mughal empire changed from 17th century to the end of the 18th century and how the entire picture of administration and the military campaigns changed. Where Mansabdars were held higher ranks and given a lot of responsibility under their administration, there came a time in Mughal Empire when these Mansabdar became so much powerful that they started considering themselves as independent. They started working in their own self-interest beyond the interest of the empire. Okay? Alright, now let's read the story of Elsewhere as we do in every chapter. In today's story, we will be reading about various other empires around the world when Mughal Empire was functioning in India. Okay? So, to start with, kings and queens. There were several great monarchs, all near contemporaries. लगभग सब लोग एक टाइम पे ही रूल कर रहे थे in different parts of the world. सब अपने अपने region में रूल कर रहे थे. Okay? All near contemporaries in different parts of the world in the 16th century. 16th century की बात हो रही है. 16th century, somewhat 1500s to 1599. In this period, Akbar was there, Babur was there, Humayun was there. Babur, Humayun, and Akbar. There was also a period of Sultanate as well, the Delhi Sultanate also. But in this chapter, we will be focusing majorly upon these emperors belonging to the Mughal Empire. Alright, okay. So there were several great monarchs, all near contemporaries in different parts of the world in the 16th century. These included the ruler of Ottoman Turkey, Sultan Suleiman. एक empire था जिसका नाम था, एक region था basically टर्की के पास, which was known as the Ottoman Empire, और एक उसका सुल्तान था known as Sultan Suleiman, who ruled between 1520 to 1566. Okay? During his rule, the Ottoman state expanded in Europe. अभी टर्की में था ये, but he expanded his empire in Europe also. He seized Hungary and besieging Austria. Okay, अभी Hungary कहाँ है, Austria कहाँ है? I will show you everything. एक pen and paper ले लो. I will show you each and every country we are talking about in this elsewhere. We talked about Turkey, we talked about Hungary, and we talked about Austria. I will show you where all these countries are. Okay. Sultan Suleiman, his armies also besieged Baghdad and Iraq. इनको भी हरा दिया. Much of North Africa, all the way into Morocco, acknowledged Ottoman authority. Expansion देख रहे हो कितनी अच्छे से कर रहा है ये Sultan Suleiman. Suleiman also reconstructed the Ottoman navy. उसने अपनी navy को भी strong किया. Its domination over the Eastern Mediterranean. I will show you ये Mediterranean Sea कहाँ पर है. He led his domination over the Eastern Mediterranean region also and brought the navy into competition with Spain. उस टाइम पे स्पेन की नेवी बहुत स्ट्रांग होती थी during this period, this 1500 period in the 16th century. Navy of Spain was very strong and Sultan Suleiman also made his army stronger. He reconstructed his navy, and navy became so strong that it came in competition with Spain in the Mediterranean region. In the Arabian Sea, it challenged the Portuguese. Mediterranean में किसको compete कर रहा है? Spain को. और Arabian Sea में किसको compete कर रहा है? Portuguese को. The monarch was given the title of Al-Kanuni. Sultan Suleiman को एक title दिया गया था Al-Kanuni का, because he was a lawgiver. Because of the large number of regulations और कानून passed during his reign. इतने सारे rules and regulations बना रखे थे, इतने सारे कानून बनाए थे सुल्तान सुलेमान ने. That is why he was given the title of Al-Kanuni. Okay, moving further, these were aimed to standardize the administrative procedures throughout the expanding domains of the empire and specifically to protect the peasantry from forced labor and the extraordinary taxes. देखो इसने भी वही किया, peasants को prosperous and happy रखा. Because if you will not keep your peasants happy, just and prosperous, your entire economy will suffer. Because peasants are the one who pay the taxes, and with the help of those taxes, you gain the revenue which can be used for the administrative expenses, which can be used to pay the salaries of all the workers, wages of the workers, salaries of the army, and various other expenses. Sultan Suleiman also laid various Qanun or regulations so that he can have a control over the administrative procedures, he can protect the peasantry, he can avoid forced labor. Forced labor बिल्कुल नहीं होनी चाहिए. And peasants can be saved from extraordinary taxes. That is why he had so many regulations, and maybe that is why he had such a large revenue deposit कि वो इतना सारा expansion कर पा रहा था यूरोप में. If you want to expand, you have to have wars with people, and for wars you need money. For money you need to have good administration. Good administration केवल एक प्रॉस्परस स्टेट से आता है. अगर स्टेट प्रॉस्परस और हैप्पी नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता. एंड सुल्तान सुलेमान kept a very keen eye on this. Later in the 17th century, when public order declined in the Ottoman domains, reign of Suleiman Kanuni was remembered as a period of ideal governance. जब Ottoman weak होने लगा, public order decline होने लगा, there was a state of disturbance in the Ottoman Empire and the Turkey region. सब लोग सुलेमान कानूनी को याद करते थे कि यार वो राजा बहुत बढ़िया था, वो राजा ने बहुत सारे रेगुलेशन लाए थे, बट ही हेल्प्ड अस with the ideal governance. He protected the peasantry from forced labor and extraordinary taxes. Okay? Find out more about Akbar's other contemporaries. आपको और contemporaries के बारे में पढ़ना होगा. The first contemporary of Akbar was ruler of England, Queen Elizabeth I, and she ruled between the period of 1558 to 1603. Then there was another contemporary of Akbar, Safavid ruler of Iran. His name was Shah Abbas. He ruled from 1588 to 1629. And the more controversial ruler, Russian ruler, Tsar Ivan IV Vasilievich. Okay, इसका pronunciation थोड़ा सा change भी हो सकता है because it's a Russian name, but Tsar has various, you can say, mischievous titles belonged to him because he was a butcher. He led various wars. He was not at all merciful on people. So there was a Russian ruler also, a very controversial ruler, contemporary to Akbar, Tsar Ivan IV Vasilievich, and he was also called Ivan the Terrible. He was so terrible. He ruled between 1530 to 1584. And you have to read about all these contemporaries. I told you about one contemporary who was Sultan Suleiman, ruled between 1520 to 1566, and he was the most prominent ruler of the Ottoman Empire in the region of Turkey. Okay? And now, after this story, let me show you the Ottoman Empire का पूरा region and the Mediterranean Sea. मैं आपको Mediterranean Sea दिखा देती हूँ और सुलेमान का जो reconstructed Ottoman Empire है वो दिखाती हूँ. ठीक है? Mediterranean region के लिए we'll have to move towards the Western nations. ये जहाँ पे ये यूरोप का कॉन्टिनेंट है, यहाँ पर आते हैं. मेरे आरो को ध्यान से देखना. यहाँ लिखा हुआ है लेबनान, ग्रीस, ट्यूनीशिया. ये रीजन, ये ब्लू बॉडी है बीच में जहां मेरा एरो मूव कर रहा है, दिस ब्लू वाटर बॉडी इज मेडिटेरेनियन सी. मेरे साथ बोलो, मेडिटेरेनियन सी. ठीक है? ये वो रीजन है जहां पर पहले रोमन एम्पायर रूल कर रहा था एंड देन आफ्टरवर्ड्स ओटोमन एम्पायर विल टेक पावर. ओटोमन एम्पायर टर्की, मेन एरिया टर्की से अपना रूल शुरू करेंगे, टर्की सीरिया के पास से अपना रूल शुरू करेंगे एंड देन स्लोली दे विल स्प्रेड टू अ मेजर पोर्शन ऑफ यूरेशिया एज वेल एज अफ्रीका. आई विल शो यू द मैप ऑफ ओटोमन एम्पायर. यहां पर मैं आपको मेडिटेरेनियन सी दिखा रही थी मेन. ओके? एंड इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द ओटोमन एम्पायर देखो यहां से शुरू होता है. ये जो रेड एरिया देख रहे हो आप, अभी मैंने आपको मेडिटेरेनियन सी दिखा दिया था. ठीक है? एंड टू नो इट वेरी इजीली, ओटोमन एम्पायर लगभग मेडिटेरेनियन सी के आसपास रूल करेगा. आसपास दे स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम हियर, यहां से इन्होंने अपना रूल शुरू किया था एंड देन स्लोली दे स्टार्टेड स्प्रेडिंग. स्लोली वो स्प्रेड होते चले गए. ओके? उन्होंने ये वाला रीजन ऑक्यूपाई किया जहां मेरा एरो है, ये वाला रीजन ऑक्यूपाई किया, फिर ये वाला रीजन ऑक्यूपाई किया. मेरा एरो देखो ध्यान से. फिर ये वाला रीजन ऑक्यूपाई किया. लास्ट में ये जो पर्पल लैंड है, ये पर्पल लैंड इनकी वैसल स्टेट्स बन गई. दैट मीन्स ये स्टेट्स वो स्टेट्स थी जो ओटोमन एम्पायर के डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल में नहीं थी, बट इनडायरेक्टली इनके ही रूल में गवर्न कर रही थी. कह सकते हो कि ओटोमन का ही रूल है इन पर्पल स्टेट्स में. केवल ये पर्पल स्टेट्स वैसल स्टेट्स हैं जो इन्होंने एकदम एंड में सीज करी हैं. ये वो वैसल स्टेट्स हैं जहां पर ओटोमन एम्पायर का इनडायरेक्ट कंट्रोल था. दैट मींस वहां के गवर्नर्स रूल तो कर रहे थे बट अंडर द नेम ऑफ ओटोमन एम्पायर. ओके? बाकी जितनी स्टेट्स हैं यहाँ पे, दे आर एनेक्स्ड एंड कॉन्कर्ड फ्रॉम रोमन एम्पायर. अगर रोमन एम्पायर का मैप याद है तो आपको लग रहा होगा कि ये शायद वही स्टेट्स है जिस पर रोमन एम्पायर रूल करता था. यस, एग्जैक्टली, ये वही स्टेट्स है जिन पर रोमन एम्पायर रूल करता था. बट जैसे ही ओटोमन एम्पायर ने इस रीजन को ऑक्यूपाई किया, जैसे ही इस रीजन को, इस मेडिटेरेनियन रीजन को ऑक्यूपाई किया, रोमन एम्पायर का कोलैप्स हो चुका था. रोमन एम्पायर डिक्लाइंड आफ्टर ओटोमन एम्पायर गेन्ड पावर. ओके, दिस इज द मैप ऑफ ओटोमन एम्पायर. यहां से इन्होंने शुरू किया अपना रूल एंड देन स्लोली दे स्टार्टेड स्प्रेडिंग ओवर हियर एंड देयर. ये सारी स्टेट्स इन्होंने अपने ऑक्यूपेशन में ले ली. रेड वाले रीजन से दे स्टार्टेड, ग्रीन रीजन को ऑक्यूपाई किया और लास्ट में ये जो पर्पल स्टेट्स हैं, ये पर्पल स्टेट्स इनकी वैसल स्टेट्स बन गई. ठीक है, जैसे मैंने अभी आपको दिखाया. ऑल राइट, so at the end of the chapter, let's read some associated keywords from the chapter. First is Mughal. Mughals we are reading about, right? The Mughal Empire we read in the chapter. Second is Mansab, the officers. Third is Jagir, the salaries, the form of salaries paid to Mansabs or given to Mansabs. Then Zat and Sawat, the rankings of the soldiers and the various officers and the number of horses they had to keep. Then Sulh-e-Kul, the universal peace concept inducted by Akbar. Primogeniture, that means the concept of succession, ki jo first child hoga, he will be succeeding to the throne. Okay, the very famous concept in the Mughal Empire we read about. Then is co-parcenary. Co-parcenary means having a joint ownership or heirship over something. Then Zat and Zamindar. These were the important words from the chapter. Moving on. Now let's recall the chapter with the help of some exercises. So first here is match the following. So here is column number 1 and here is column number 2. Okay, और जो भी best associated word है, you have to match it, the column number 1 with column number 2. Okay, so here is Mansab, Mongol, Sisodia ruler, Sisodia Rajput, Rathod Rajput, Noor Jahan and Subedar. हमने सबके बारे में पढ़ा है यहाँ पे. एंड वॉट एवर इज द मोस्ट रिलेटेबल एंड एसोसिएटेड टर्म ऑफ द कॉलम 1 विथ कॉलम 2 आपको उसी से मैच करना है. द ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल इन कॉलम 2 आर मारवाड़, गवर्नर, उज़्बेक, मेवाड़, रैंक एंड जहांगीर. थिंक अबाउट इट फर्स्ट, कौन किससे रिलेटेड है या एसोसिएटेड है एंड देन मैच इट. ओके, हियर इज द आंसर. मनसब मीन्स द रैंक एनी ऑफिसर हैड, राइट? जितने ज्यादा रैंक उतने ज्यादा मनसब, या कह सकते हैं जितने ज्यादा मनसब किसी को दिए जाते थे, दैट वाज द हाईएस्ट रैंक allotted to a person. Mongol associated with Uzbeks. Sisodia Rajput ruled the area of Mewar. Rathod Rajput ruled the area of Marwar. Okay. Noor Jahan, wife of Jahangir. Subedar means governor. So these were the associated and related terms in this exercise. Moving on with the next one. Question number 2, fill in the blank. So basically here is a statement and you have to fill the blank with appropriate word. Okay, no options, no clue given, you just have to think about it. If you cannot answer anything in this exercise, you can pause the video, go back to the chapter, revise the chapter and then come again to this exercise. Every line is from the chapter only, that is why I have given no clue. All right, okay, so the first statement is capital of Mirza Hakim, who was Akbar's half brother, was capital क्या थी उसकी? We read it in the chapter also. It was Kabul, and we read that Akbar gained control over Kabul after the death of Mirza Hakim. We read it also. All right. Coming on to the second statement, the 5 Deccan Sultanate were Deccan Sultanate. Deccan, the areas under any sultan in the Deccan region of India. The 5 Deccan Sultanate were Berar, Khandesh, Ahmednagar, dash and dash. We read about these also. It was Bijapur and Golconda. Okay, these were the very famous 5 Deccan Sultanates which were time and again against the Mughal Empire and with whom Mughal Empire fought continuously, and these were the areas where continuous conquests were held by each emperor of the Mughal Empire. Okay, third statement. If Zat determined a mansabdar's rank and salary, सवार क्या बताता था? जात का मतलब तो है मनसबदार की रैंक क्या है, उसकी सैलरी क्या है. Then what was सवार? सवार was the number of horses a person had to maintain. Okay, so सवार is basically the number of horses that to be maintained, and Zat determined the mansabdar's rank and salary. All right, coming on to the fourth statement. Abul Fazl, Akbar's friend and counselor, helped him frame the idea of dash so that he could govern a society composed of many religions, cultures and caste. कौन से आइडिया में अबुल फजल ने हेल्प करी थी अकबर की? The idea of administration, right? That how the administration can be dealt in, how many kind of staff members you can have, how many kind of rules and regulations you can have, so that the people and the society can have variation in the religion, culture and caste, and still peace can be maintained. Okay. Now here is the third question. What were the central provinces under the control of the Mughals? Central provinces बतानी है हमें, ठीक है? The central provinces, we read it in the chapter also. First was Panipat, then Lahore, Delhi, Agra, Mathura, Amber or Amber, Ajmer, Fatehpur Sikri, Chittor, Ranthambore and Allahabad. These were the central provinces. अब आप कहोगे लाहौर कहाँ से central province है? So if you look at the Central Asian map, complete Central Asian map पे अगर देखोगे तो लाहौर भी Central Asia का the central province का part बन जाता है, right? So these were the central provinces under the control of the Mughals. This is the list. You can put it in your answer sheet and stick it on the wall and keep remembering it. I can show you in the map also to let you know where actually these provinces are. ठीक है, एक बार map पे भी दिखा देती हूँ where these provinces are located. But before this, let's complete question number 4. Then I will show you the provinces. What was the relationship between Mansabdar and Jagir? Very, very easy question. We have read it in the chapter various times. And I have repeated this also कि Mansabdar और Jagir का मतलब क्या है? Mansabdars were those who joined the Mughal service. ये officers हैं जिन्होंने Mughal service को join किया है, right? And Jagir were the salaries of the Mansabdars in the form of revenue assignment. Revenue assignment के तौर पे the land piece, so the form of land was given to each Mansabdar so that they can collect revenue from it, and that was only the form of salary they had. It means Mansabdars received Jagir as their salaries. Hence, Mansabdars depended upon Jagirs for their livelihood. जितना बड़ा rank of Mansabdar होता था उसको उतनी ज़्यादा जागिर दी जाती थी so that he can collect more revenue from that piece of land. Okay. Now let me show you the provinces. Here we read it in the question number 3. Wait. Alright, now coming on to question number 5. What was the role of the Zamindar in the Mughal administration? Zamindar का क्या काम है? What was the duty or functions you can say of Zamindar in the Mughal administration? Zamindars were powerful local chieftains appointed by the Mughal rulers. They exercised great influence and power. They collected taxes from the peasants and gave them to the Mughal emperors. Thus they played the role of intermediaries. इससे लेकर इसको देना होता था. And this job was done by zamindars. That is why they were known as the intermediary. जो बीच में खड़ा हो, जो medium में खड़ा हो, that person is known as an intermediary, and zamindar was intermediary in this system of revenue collection and then giving it to the king. In some areas, the zamindars became more powerful. The exploitation by Mughal administrators made them to rebellion. इतना ज़्यादा किसी समय powerful हो जाते थे कि अगर if they were very terrified and they were very tired of the Mughal administrators and the rules and regulation, the zamindars used to rebel against the Mughal administration sometimes. They got support from the peasants in rebelling against the Mughal authority. और अगर उन्हें रिबेल करना होता तो उन्हें सपोर्ट कहाँ से मिलता था? Peasants से सपोर्ट मिलता था, because जमींदार्स were more connected to the peasants, क्योंकि जमींदार ही तो peasants से टैक्स कलेक्ट करते हैं. That is why zamindars were more connected to the peasants. So if in any case the rules and regulations were very strict and the Mughal administrators used to keep a tightened control over zamindars, zamindars used to rebel against the Mughal administration, and they used to rebel with the help and support of the peasants. Okay, coming on to question number 6. How were the debates with religious scholars important in the formation of Akbar's ideas on governance? Akbar ka governance was the best. It was the first class. How? Because he held various debates with religious scholars, which made him realize that I need to focus on good governance. Only then my administration can flourish better. Otherwise, it will be still in dogma, very orthodox, and everything bad will happen in my administration. जो आज तक होता आया है, it will not turn better, it will not improve, and hence I need to focus on the governance. So now we need to tell that how these debates were important to achieve the good governance. Okay, so in the 1570s at the Fatehpur Sikri, Akbar started discussions on religion with people of different faith. अलग-अलग faith के लोगों को बुलाता था and discussion कराता था. There were ulemas, that means people belonging or believing in Islamic practices, Brahmins, the Hindu caste and culture, the Jesuit Catholic priest, and Zoroastrians as well. Okay, people belonging to different faith and religion. These discussions took place in इबादत खाना, जहाँ पे पूजा की जाती है वहीं पे सबको बुलाया जाता था. These discussions took place in ibadat khana. These were about social and religious customs. What discussions they used to have? They used to have discussions on society, that means social and religious customs. Okay, these interactions made him realize, him as in Akbar, these interactions between all these people made Akbar realize that religious scholars are bigots. They emphasize rituals and dogma. ये जानबूझ के मजबूर करते हैं लोगों को that you have to follow this practice. They create a kind of orthodoxy and a very misleading belief in the religious rituals. Their teachings create divisions in the society. ऐसा अकबर को लगा that these scholars and their teachings create a division in the society, and this led to the idea of Sulh-e-Kul. This is where Akbar realized that I need to bring a common, a singular rule, a singular religious practice, or you can say a belief, where people may or may not follow this, may or may believe and worship their own God, but they should be respecting and believing in the concept of universal peace, that you follow your own religion but respect the other ones. Okay, so this is how the debates with the religious scholars became very important in the formation of Akbar's ideas on governance. Alright, okay. Reaching out to question number 7. Why did the Mughals emphasize their Timurid and not their Mongol descent? ये हम लोग बात भी कर चुके हैं इस बारे में, that Mughal family belonged to a very too popular ancestry, but they always wanted to emphasize their Timurid descent and not their Mongol descent. Why? Let's read the answer about this. Mughals were descendants of two great lineages of rulers. From their mother's side, they were descendants of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was the ruler of Mongol tribes. Okay, and from their father's side, they were the successors of Timur, the ruler of Iran, Iraq, and modern-day Turkey. However, Mughals did not like to be called Mongol. वो मंगोल से अपने आप को रिलेट नहीं करना चाहते थे, वो अपने गेंगिस खान के रिलेशन से नहीं अपने आप को बताना चाहते थे, बिकॉज Mongols, especially Genghis Khan's memory, was associated with the massacre of innumerable people. बहुत ही butchery and this act of butcher, ये Genghis Khan की ये memory बहुत active थी लोगों के दिमाग में. That is why Mughals did not want to relate themselves with such a assassin, such a person who has led such a great massacre of people. Mongols or the Genghis Khan were also linked with the Uzbeks. ये Uzbeks से भी related थे और Uzbeks were the Mongol competitors. They were the Mughal competitors as well. They were the Mongol competitors as well. That is why they did not want to relate themselves with Genghis Khan or from the entire Mongol descent. Whereas, on the other hand, Mughals were proud of their Timurid ancestry. ऐसा नहीं है तिमुर ने किसी को मारा नहीं होगा. Definitely, he also must have led various killings to become such a great ruler, to have a control over vast region in the Central Asia. But they were proud of the Timurid ancestry because it achieved good name in the history. Alright, unlike Genghis Khan. So this was the reason why they made or put emphasis on their Timurid descent and not on their Mongol descent. Alright, okay, question number 8. How important was the income from land revenue to the stability of Mughal Empire? मुगल एम्पायर की स्टेबिलिटी के लिए जो लैंड रेवेन्यू वाला इनकम होता था वो इतना इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों था? ओके, so we'll read the answer about this. The income from land revenue is very important to the stability of the Mughal Empire. As first it was used for extension of empire. ये जो पैसा आता था ना, इसी से एम्पायर के एक्सटेंशन, वॉर्स, छोटे छोटे बैटल्स का खर्चा निकाला जाता था. Second, income is used to pay salaries or wages to army, bureaucrats, artisans and workers. The salaries of all these people were paid from the land revenue collected only. Okay. Third reason, the administrative expenditure is also dealt by this land revenue income only. That is why land revenue income was very important for the stability of the Mughal Empire and for all the expenses under the Mughal administration. Okay. Coming on to question number 9, very important question plus a very easy question also. Why was it important for the Mughals to recruit mansabdars from diverse backgrounds? हर बैकग्राउंड के लोगों को मनसबदार क्यों बनाया हुआ था? And not just Turanis and Iranis. Turanis और Iranis तो उनके descendants थे. They could have trusted only those people जो Turani and Irani background के थे. But Mughals recruited mansabdars from diverse background. Rajputs को भी बना रखा है mansabdar, Afghans को भी, Muslims, Rajputs, Marathas, every person belonging to diverse background were mansabdar under the Mughal Empire. Why so? It's a very important question plus a very easy one as well. The Mughal Empire expanded to different regions. Hence, it was important for the Mughals to recruit diverse bodies of people in order to make people comfortable with them. Apart from Turanis and Iranis, now there were mansabdars from Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajputs, Marathas and other groups. For example, if the Mughal dynasty is having control over Maharashtra, then this is a matter of fact कि जितना मराठास महाराष्ट्र को जानते होंगे उतना तुरानी ईरानी तो नहीं जानते होंगे. Marathas will be having better idea of administration and control over the Maharashtra region than any other people belonging to any other community or class. That is why Mughals always focused on the good governance and administration. Good governance एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. उन्होंने ये नहीं देखा कि ये कौन से बैकग्राउंड को बिलोंग करके रखता है या हमारे रिलीजियस प्रोपेगेंडा क्या है. एंड दिस इज व्हाट मेड मुगल्स वेरी सुप्रीम एंड वेरी प्रॉस्परस and different from other dynasties and empire because they always focused on good administration and governance apart from their religious propaganda. That is why they recruited mansabdar from diverse background for better administration and control, hence neglecting the idea of only Turanis and Iranis in their administration. Alright, coming on to question number 10. Like the Mughal Empire, India today is also made up of many social and cultural units. आज भी बहुत सारे social units हैं, बहुत सारे cultural units हैं. Does this pose a challenge to national integration? क्या इससे कोई national integration पे चोट आती है? Okay, before answering this, I will let you think on this topic. That what do you think? ये जितने भी social and cultural units हैं, so many diversity we have in our country. Does this pose a challenge to the national integration? अभी आप first initially आप ये सोचोगे that maybe they pose a challenge to national integration because every day, maybe almost after every 2 days, people are fighting over their religion, people are fighting over their caste, creed, culture, etc. But let me tell you, those fights are due to some very small topics which people haven't discussed properly. Those small topics rise up to a fight only because people don't respect each other's culture or religion. Okay? But if we talk about national integrity, no, this does not pose a challenge to national integration. In fact, this diversity of our country is our strength. यही तो हमारी ताकत है, that we have so many social classes, we have so many cultural units in the country, and still we are one. We are unified. Why do we have so? Because we have a unified system of government that has the same rules and regulations for all the citizens, irrespective of religion, region, etc. Hindu hai, Muslim hai, Christian hai, Sikh, Zoroastrian, Buddhist, Jainist, a person who follow Jainism, anyone, they all lie under the same rules and regulations of law, no matter what the religion they belong to, no matter what region they belong to, etc. Okay? Second point, we have a constitution guarding the rights of all, okay, and specifying their duties. Everyone has their duty. Constitution में duties लिखी हुई हैं, okay? Though they are not binding, अगर आप उन duties को follow नहीं करते हैं, so no one will punish you. But I think this is your moral that you should follow all the duties at least written in the constitution, right? And every person, every citizen, irrespective of religion and region, tends to follow those duties. They should follow those duties. Third point. Now we are unified as a nation, not as distinct states or regions of different rulers. Mughal Empire या ancient, medieval, modern history में क्या होता था? We were dissected into various states. ये अवध है, ये मराठास है, ये डेक्कन सल्तनत है, ये गुजरात है, ये मेवाड़ रीजन है, मारवाड़ रीजन है, ऐसे रीजन वाइज होता था. And there were separate rulers for separate region. But today, India is a unified nation. India as a whole. आप महाराष्ट्र को belong करते हैं, belong to तमिलनाडु, you belong to Karnataka, Andhra, Uttar Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, Assam, Meghalaya. No matter what state you belong to, at the end of the day, you are an Indian. Your nationality is Indian. You are unified as a nation and not distinctive as your state or region. Alright? That is why these social and cultural units sometimes leads to disturbance in the unity, but they never pose a challenge to national integration. Yes, social and cultural units is our strength. This unity in diversity is the core strength of India. Okay? And you all should abide by it. You all should try to respect the cultural ideas and the rituals of every religion and region and culture. Okay? Question number 11. Peasants were vital for the economy of the Mughal Empire. Abhi hum log ne padha that peasants are the ones who pay the revenue, basically who pay the taxes, which turns into revenue, and then that revenue is used to pay all the expenditure of the administration, to pay all the salaries of the workers and soldiers. So this is a fact that peasants were vital for the economy of the Mughal Empire. Do you think that they are as important today? क्या आज भी वो उतने important हैं? Second part of the question is asking, has the gap in the income between the rich and the poor in India changed a great deal from the periods of the Mughals? जो rich and poor के बीच का income gap है, has it changed from the period of Mughals? Has it gone better or has it gone worse or has it changed any bit? So answer is here, peasants are as important today as they were during the Mughal Empire. Because they were cultivating the crops, they were making the food, and even today they are making the food. So जो खाना बनाता है, they are always important, right? Peasants are as important today as they were during the Mughal Empire. They cultivate the land and grow crops, without which we cannot survive, right? They pay the land revenue to the government, which is used in various development work. We cannot think of a sound economy without them. They are the backbone of the country, and that's a fact. They are the backbone of the country. जो खाना बनाता है, that they are the backbone. अगर हम खाएंगे ही नहीं, how will we pay? How will we calculate everything? How will we run the economy if we don't have the food, right? However, answering the second part of the question, however, the divide between the rich and the poor remains the same. वो गैप अभी भी उतना ही है. The poor peasants still don't have resources to use modern methods of agriculture and good quality seeds. Abhi bhi they do not have adequate resources with which they can afford the modern method of agriculture, or they can afford the good quality seeds. Agriculture generates a seasonal income, and thus people remain seasonally unemployed. Okay, and that's a matter of fact that the peasants who work for one season are employed only for that particular season. In the next upcoming season, they are unemployed. And that's the major setback to the economic status of the peasants. But on a very good note, the government is trying very hard with the various schemes and efforts with which they can be employed in some other auxiliary activities. For example, अगर कोई peasant wheat बनाता है and in this other season जब वो wheat नहीं बना सकता, then in that season the peasants are given some auxiliary work. Auxiliary work में क्या करेगा? वो कोई पोल्ट्री का काम कर सकता है, right? वो मिल्चिंग का काम कर सकता है, वो डेयरी का काम कर सकता है. They can work for the auxiliary activities with which they can earn something, and they can earn something so that they are not unemployed for the remaining season of the year. Okay, government is trying a lot of effort. Government is putting up various schemes for the peasants and for the welfare of the farmers, so that their income generation continuously increases and the gap between the rich and poor can be made small, or can be made better off. Okay, with this we have come to the end of part 2 of the chapter, and our chapter Mughal Empire is finished now. Revise well. Happy learning. Thank you. We'll see you in the next one.